What's good people of YouTube? It's me, London. I'm back here with another video. And today we're reacting to why Andrew Schulz, Kendrick Lamar this is in his career. Personally, I think it was very weird of him to say what he was going to do to Kendrick. Definitely very odd. And at the end of the day, at his community, I don't think it's really going to end his career. I think it's just mostly just, hip-hop heads just reacting to it, and that's not Andrew's main audience. So I don't think his career is really going to end, or it's going to be on the decline, because he's always made jokes like this. And the funny thing about this, I don't even think he mentioned Andrew Schulz, or Kendrick mentioned Andrew Schulz's name in the Whacked Out Mural song. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Talking about white communities shouldn't talk about black women. And I apparently got it wrong. I thought he was talking about Michael Rappaport, but he's an actor. So I didn't really connect the dots at the time with Andrew Schulz, but I do remember him having like a little spiel about black women with the Shits and Giggles podcast. I can't remember what it's called, man. But anyways, let's see what is this channel called? This is a really good channel. Fantastic Hip Hop. Let's see what he's talking about, because I just saw this pop up on my feed, and I just thought I'd react to it. Also, hope you guys are staying warm. I hate the cold. I hate winter all in general. Makes me depressed, kind of. But, we move on with life. Anyway, let's get into it.
Now, when it comes to Kendrick Lamar in 2024, it seems like no matter who the person he is at odds with is, and no matter what Kendrick says when he is calling them out, whenever somebody has been in any sort of conflict or confrontation with the biggest rapper on the planet right now, they just completely lose all composure, and in an attempt to make a response and come back to Kendrick, just end up doing irreversible damage to their own careers instead of doing anything to make him look worse. And now, while earlier in the year, we saw this happen to Drake, of course, and he still hasn't come back from it, now we are seeing another crash out from somebody who tried to clap back at Kendrick Lamar in a much different way with comedian Andrew Schulz. And
of course, I forgot to add this. Of course, Academics is egging this shit on, because he's Drake's biggest fan. Between him and Mal and Los Pollos, who knows, man? We got to see who's the biggest Drake stan of all time. They need a competition or some shit.
Really, with what Schulz just did and how he is handling all of the backlash he is getting from it, if what happened to Drake after Kendrick Lamar has ruined his career in nearly every single way possible, there is almost no way Schulz comes out of this with his career intact. But now, before we go any further into this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton.
Like
so
the
now,
video. Like the original video, please.
Latest beef, before we even get into what pushed Kendrick to call Schulz out for his questionable actions on his album GNX's intro track, Whacked Out Murals, when we look at Andrew Schulz, beyond being a comedian who just represents everything wrong with comedy in today's day and age, throughout this entire year, Schulz has been a figure in media and pop culture, who that while Kendrick Lamar was on a mission to go after Drake, J. Cole, and just change the direction of where hip-hop was going, Schulz constantly bashed Kendrick Lamar and tried to diminish his greatness. And overall,
I never keep it with Andrew Schulz, really. And I only see his stand-ups and like a couple clips from his podcast with Charlemagne. So I don't really know what he's been talking about this year about the state of hip-hop and rap. But I don't care. To be honest, I don't care enough to actually see what his opinion is about, because he's a comedian and he's not really in those kind of spaces. Like, the closest thing to the hip-hop space he's probably been to is probably Charlemagne. Charlemagne used to host, or he still hosts, the Breakfast Club. So that's probably where he gets all of his information from. So I'm not really surprised that he would say some outlandish things about the hip-hop community or anything going on with music to begin with.
Schulz's sentiments were alluding to the fact that Kendrick was a clout chaser for going after Drake, and really for being someone who does not deserve the success and praise that they get. And Schulz never really let up on this standpoint, even after Kendrick clearly won the beef, and like other Drake stans did. He just made excuses when Drake lost and said that Kendrick cheated his way into winning by making false claims and narratives and then stepping over the line, which is going to be important to keep in mind for later. And so now fast forward to today, and after on Whacked Out Murals, when Kendrick Lamar had a line that was clearly calling out Schulz,
which also doesn't make any sense, because I think Drake was the first one to come out with the, what's it called, like a fabricated thing about him being his wife. So I mean, game is game, bro, to be honest. Like, you say something, I say something back. That's probably not true either. I mean, that's just how it goes sometimes, man.
Schulz has officially responded to Kendrick Lamar on his show, and with what he just decided to cook up after all things considered and seeing just how much Kendrick Lamar can say about his competition, was a pretty light diss in the grand scheme of it all, even if you want to call it that.
And it really wasn't even that serious. It was like a passerby type of like line. It was like I really didn't really think about it that much, to be honest. Like, clearly I didn't connect the dots at the time, but maybe I'm just not like, I'm just not kept up with what's going on the internet all the time. But at the same time, it's not like he really said your name or anything. Could be about anybody, to be honest, any white comedian. But he's just taking it to this new level of like, oh, this is all about me. It's like no one's really thinking about you like that, dog. Honestly.
What Schulz just did is going to go down as one of the worst responses to being called out in a rap lyric by a celebrity of all time. And beyond just that, Schulz is really going to join someone like his idol Drake for being on one of the greatest crash outs of the entire year, because with what he said, after acknowledging that Kendrick dissed him, trying to be funny, and talking about how the GNX album is a good record, but that he's just mad because of the diss. After Schulz made it clear that he would never mess with the people who Kendrick Lamar hangs around with, he then went on to say that because of Kendrick Lamar's height, which again, notice these parallels between him and Drake's insults, that he would be able to take on Kendrick because of his size and stature. And with the rest of what Schulz said, I can't even say it in this video because it's really that bad, but for those who don't know, what Schulz went on to say in an entire multi-minute bit where he got into extensive detail of what would go down between him and Kendrick Lamar, was the same thing that Drake rapped about happening to Kendrick on The Heart Part 6. And what Drake tried to frame as this moment that ruined his life and made him so against everything the OVO rapper
It was just crazy is that Academics is egging this shit on, but at the same time, when Saucy Santana said he was gonna do some stuff to you, you were fucking crying, dog. I don't understand that. And now you're egging this shit on. I don't get it. I don't know. Whatever.
stood for in the first place. And that was, of course, the whole Mother Eye section of the track, where Drake misunderstood one of the most devastating and powerful songs Kendrick Lamar has ever wrote, which was about his very own mother's experience and not his. And as Schulz made what may be the strangest comeback to being dissed ever, everyone went crazy over this, as from people who are close to Kendrick Lamar and from TDE just clearly being baffled with the response, to even Drake fans who are now trying to get a win by saying that Kendrick and his camp are soft, as they are now using the stance that there should be rules in what people can say in a back and forth to try and call Schulz out. There has been so much discourse about this moment, and I think when it comes to this situation at its most fundamental level, I mean, this doesn't take a lot to see, but everyone's supporting Schulz and trying to use this to show that Kendrick Lamar has a double standard for things that he can do but not have used against him. It's just blatantly wrong and lacks a sense of skill to really assess the music and media they interact with. And really, to support Schulz here, it just goes against the very roots of both rap and comedy as art forms and as these tools of unfiltered expression. Because let's be clear about this, as Andrew Schulz did and showed, he could have said anything he wanted, and that's exactly what he did. But just like if two rappers were beefing, whatever is being used to take down your opponents with words is going to be judged by the people and either rejected or accepted. And to circle back to Kendrick calling out Drake for weird claims and actions, and when it comes to something that both Schulz and others can't understand, Kendrick Lamar calling out Drake for all of his weird actions and claims over the years we have seen worked. Because at the bottom line, it was rooted in reality. And it wasn't just this weird and
exactly. And that's the one thing about Kendrick's supposed accusations or allegations. Not allegations, I guess accusations. That we have video proof of Drake doing these weird things. I mean, he kissed the underage girl on stage. I mean, like, what? We have no proof that Kendrick beat his wife, but we have video proof that you've been doing some weird stuff, Drake. So I don't understand why everyone's trying to defend this point when we have some sort of evidence, kind of evidence. But Drake stands gonna do what Drake stands do, bro. Just cope, seethe, and just deflect. That's all they do.
Or claim that was saying that he was going to do awful things to Drake. But what Kendrick was saying was actually exposing something that, from what we can see, already had some truth to it. And that maybe a lot of people were just refusing to really see with their own eyes. And so really with Schulz, and just like Drake did with The Heart Part 6, Their comments about such a horrible thing, which really, to just frame this in its proper context, if we want to look back at the moment that Kendrick Lamar has rapped about guiding his efforts this year both on Meet the Grams during the beef and Whacked Out Murals now, which was the Cat Williams Shannon Sharp interview, which is now credited for kicking off this year that has been all about exposing the
Yeah,
shit.
Cat
And
Williams
one
opened
thing
up a
that
fucking
stands out
portal,
to all
dog.
these points now is that Cat Williams said here that this horrible action that Schulz and Drake tried to use in these gotcha moments is never funny no matter what the circumstances are. And I mean, this isn't just a rule of comedy or rap beef for that matter, but it's just a part of human nature because there are things that no matter how you spin them, and especially with the way Schulz got so into detail, that there is purely no comedic or entertainment value within. And this is the distinction that needs to be made, because just like Drake, who was an absolute sore loser and who had nothing left to say, so he decided to resort to one of the worst things that can happen to try and make fun of Kendrick in one of the most tasteless ways we have ever seen in a diss track. Schulz managed to do the same thing, and maybe even in a worse way, which is saying a lot.
Everyone's saying, oh, it's just comedy. He didn't really mean it. I mean, even if it is just comedy, it's kind of a weird joke to make, to be honest. Especially about another dude. Like, that's kind of crazy. I ain't gonna lie. Like, Dave Chappelle, he touches the line there a little bit sometimes, but he's not, like, outwardly just, like, you know, being a dickhead about it. It's like he has a reason of why he said it. Andrew Schulz, in his case, no one really said your name, and you're just going off the rails, just trying to come back at Kendrick because he said white comedians. He said comedians, or did he say comedian? I think he said comedians. So it could not just be about you; it could be about other people too. But you're just taking like all the credit, I guess, for it for the line. I guess I don't know.
Just because of how much he went on and on about what he was trying to do. And really, with the situation being this bad for Schulz, it's not an understatement to say that his career really may be over, because just as Schulz did...
They didn't fade his shit at all. That's pissing me off just looking at that. They didn't fade his shit at all. They did him dirty with that shit.
Now people have been digging into his past where they have found out, just like his buddy DJ Academics and the guy he stands, Drake, they have some weird cases, which makes something like he did become even more troubling and questionable, because the lines just get blurred of when it starts to seem like, even in real life, if what he was saying is fully a joke, because some of the things that have been said about him in the past say otherwise. And now, in typical comedian fashion, for better or for worse, but definitely for the worst here, Schulz now is only doubling down on his comments, as when Meek Mill posted about what Schulz said and did right now, Schulz clapped back and made fun of Meek for being someone who was rumored to be involved in situations of the same.
And it's such a hard case for Meek to even make because of the whole Diddy allegations and the little, I forgot, was it not a transcript, but it was something saying, like, talking about he was in a relationship with whatever, you know what I mean? It's just, it's kind of hard because you already put a stain on your name, or really you didn't do it to yourself, but, you know, someone else did it. But it's Meek's in a tough spot with that, I'll be honest with you, and it kind of sucks for him. I'm gonna be honest, I feel kind of bad for him for that.
Nature. And this is just a crazy way to talk when everyone is trying to find one more reason to just take you down forever. And really, with this situation, we are only seeing the start of the consequences of crashing out over rap lyrics, because with Schulz, with his entire brand and with how he disrespected Kendrick Lamar, people who have actually been affected by what he is saying, and in general, how he has disrespected hip-hop culture by trying to make Lamar seem like he is the person in the wrong, for the way the genre has retained certain superficial values that his favorite artist Drake has kept prevalent more than ever in this era, which again just shows how delusional and out of touch the guy is. Schulz can't just run away into his own world and let these things blow over, because some of his most valuable ventures are directly rooted in hip-hop culture, as he has an entire show with somebody like Charlemagne. And even with how wild and over-the-line things Charlemagne has said over the years, between his obligation as a leader in hip-hop media and with all of his other ventures, this could even change their dynamic forever, and maybe even cause the duo to split if Schulz continues to double down on what he is saying.
And I really want to hear what Charlemagne has to say. I know not a lot of people really care what Charlemagne has to say these days, because he kind of makes like wild statements at times, especially back in the day. He used to do some wild shit back then. But at the same time, I really think Charlemagne, he's more closer connected to like the actual hip hop space itself. So I would assume they would have some sort of talk, like with Andrew, about like some things that you probably shouldn't be saying, because you're not even really a part of it like that. So, and that's just another case. Like, I could use another example. Kai Cenat, when he was saying things about black Americans, saying like we have no culture because we're just regular black. If, in his case, we're just regular black. And I really hope Duke, like at the time, really like had to sit down and talk with him about how like serious that is, because had he said something about like Dominicans, because I'm pretty sure Phantom's from the Dominican Republic. I'm not going off topic with this, but Phantom's from the Dominican Republic. And if he said something about Dominicans, I'm sure Phantom would have a sit down and talk with him about it. Like, it's just, when it comes to black Americans, for some reason, everyone just, they can say whatever. And everyone's just like, oh, it's just a joke. But, you know, it's whatever. Even though other cultures literally, like, take it seriously. But when we try and take it seriously, everyone's just saying it's just a joke. Calm down. It's not that serious. But, you know, it's whatever.
And again, while it's too early to see how all of this ends up...
And that's not any hate towards Kai Cenat. I like Kai Cenat. I just really hope Duke had to sit down and talk with him. I really do. Because I don't come from, like, a hateful point of, like, what Kai said about black Americans. I think he's young, and he just says dumb things. I used to say dumb things all the time, too, when I was 22 years old. So it's not like I can really hold that again over his head, but at the same time, at some point, you gotta learn when to just not speak on certain things. And the clip might be taken out of context, too. So, who knows?
And with how much of a conversation this has already been, and how much attention and backlash it's bringing Schulz, I'm sure he's going to continue to talk about this and maybe even dedicate more time to it in an actual comedy special for now, due to the way people just can't handle Kendrick Lamar coming at them and calling them out for whatever reason. We have seen another public figure with so much at stake just make such a tasteless move to try and win their back and forth with him, and the outcome could not have been worse. But with people both like Drake and Schulz, the greater question we have to ask is that in these pivotal times when your greatness could come out, how do you manage to not just disrespect people, but also the very art form you try and represent when doing these responses? Because both for Drake and rap and Schulz and comedy, they just never made the respective mediums they created look worse by aiming for such a low bar to call somebody out with. And really, when we look at both Drake and Andrew Schulz in their own ways, when you understand their careers and the places they hold in their respective fields, you will see that they are really two different sides of the same problem. Because when it comes to actually representing the culture of the thing they are from, since they have been deceiving people for most of their careers because they don't actually have the real talent it takes to make it, they just crumble in these times where the most skilled artists show how great they are. So overall, as we see Kendrick Lamar take another person's career away just with a few bars, it's never been more clear that he is the boogeyman, because even outside of rap and hip-hop, he is now causing the downfall of people's careers in far other mediums.
And the optics look really crazy for Andrew Schulz because he looks spooked. Because, like, he's the only one talking about it. I said this like 3 times in the video, I'm sorry. But he looks very spooked. Like, he's like the only person that's really talking about it. It's like, he could have meant anybody, dog. He also could have meant you too, but you know, you took it to heart.
And so now with all this said, let me know. What do you think of this entire situation, and do you agree with my stance on all of this? Now, I can't wait to hear what you have to say on one of the most shocking and out-of-nowhere confrontations we have seen of this year, and if you've made it to this point in the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. And now, if you want to see how just before this, Kendrick Lamar proved Drake's career is really over with his upcoming tour, check out the suggested video.
Alright, well that was the video. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know it's 18 minutes long. Probably had a little yap session in the middle of it, but you know, it's fine. But be sure to like, comment, subscribe on the video. Or like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Leave some comments. I know Smino, wow, I can't even talk. Smino. I know Smino came out with a new album. Someone said it. So I might listen to that a little bit later on this weekend. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace. Peace. Peace.